Welcome back to the Methane Pavilion and the second week of COP. I'm delighted to be joined by two friends of ours, Asmau Jibril from the Environment Ministry in Nigeria and Engineer Abdurrahman, it's just how I've always referred to him, or just Abdurrahman, from what used to be known as the Department of Petroleum Resources, but now I have to check my notes because it just changed. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. Welcome, Asmau and Abdurrahman. We're very glad to have you both here with us at the Methane Pavilion.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
So I had to look back in my photographs to find out when we first started talking with you all, and it was back in August of 2019 was the first time I was in Lagos with you all for the first workshop we did on methane emissions. And Nigeria has really been at the forefront of methane, and I think a lot of it is not known around the world as to what Nigeria has been doing on methane or on flaring for that matter. I think the thing that surprised me the most when we all started working together is the progress that Nigeria has made on flaring, a 70% reduction in methane emissions since 2000. Nigeria's been an active member of the CCAC and pretty much every other initiative that's working on abating methane emissions around the world. Nigeria was also the first country to sign on to the predecessor of this COP's Global Methane Pledge, which was the Global Methane Alliance, and that was just a few years ago. And then also, Nigeria has done a lot of work of putting methane in the NDC, the most recent submission of the NDC, with a strong reduction target. So I guess my first question is, why has Nigeria been so focused on methane when so many other countries have not really been talking about it? What makes methane important to Nigeria and Nigeria's future? And I open that to either one of you. Maybe we'll start with Asmau.
Okay. So methane is very important for Nigeria because Nigeria is an oil and gas-based economy. We have a lot of gas, and we know that gas has a lot of greenhouse gas emissions, and sooner or later, of course, we'll have to do something about that. And methane with the high GWP, global warming potential, we will know that we can use that to reduce our emissions. So for methane leakages and methane emissions, of course, we had to do something about that. And that was why we joined the so many initiatives, like you said, of the CCAC, the Global Methane Alliance, though the CCAC we joined a long time ago. And there's an initiative for methane, which we are also a part of it. And of course, since we're part of those initiatives and alliances, we'll have to do something about the methane emission. And we have now, like you said, included it in our revised NDC. So we've been working together with the DPR, which is just recently changed its name, the NNPC and the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, to see how we can work on methane.
And I remind everyone what the goal in the NDC now is for methane reductions.
Yes. So we have we included in the revised NDC that will reduce 60% of methane emissions by the year 2031.
That's fantastic.
So that is what we have in the revised NDC. And we're working with the different stakeholders to see that we achieve that by the stated year.
That's great. And you mentioned stakeholders. Abdurrahman, tell us a little bit about the process that you all have been going through to bring together both NNPC, the national oil company, as well as the other international oil companies that are operating there and other stakeholders to bring them together to talk about solutions. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Okay, thanks for having me once again. We know from the onset of oil and gas exploration in Nigeria, and from the concerns that the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria also has for the environment. Historically, you will look back. If we look back, you will know that there are times in the past that the government has set certain deadlines, for flare-outs. It started early in the 1990s, where we had an ambition to stop flaring at a particular time, maybe by the year 2020. And for several reasons, mostly economical, sometimes legislative issues and constraints, legal framework that needed to be put in place, government had to shift, the goalpost to some other time in the future. To ensure that we capture every stakeholder and everybody and put them in the loop so that nobody will be left behind. We are an energy producing country, and the global vision of removing the nuisance of flaring and all the other gaseous emissions that come and are associated with the flare and with the oil and gas production itself was born out of the love of the environment and for the people of the country by the government of the country. So we had that ambition to stop the flaring. And if you look at our historical data collection, maybe starting from 1970, Nigeria was supposedly one of the high gas flaring countries in the world. And in view of that, in 1991, we came up with the preliminary guidelines in 1991, guidelines to ensure that operators of oil and gas, both national oil and gas and IOCs, follow certain processes which are internationally acclaimed to be the best in terms of reporting the gaseous emission from the flare stack. And so it became a part of their maintenance and culture for the companies who are operating within the boundaries of the country, not only to measure what is released, but also the quality of what is released into the environment. So, and if you now also go further, you will see government also did certain things in order to ensure that these gases no longer pose the kind of challenges that we know they can cause harm. Government initiated several projects to ensure that these gases are utilized. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, government come up with a law on gas utilization for every well that is drilled. Where you have high gas oil ratio, in a well column, it is illegal to produce such a well. So you have to put it down, lock it in until you have a gas utilization project for the gas before you can touch the oil. So that in a way encouraged the investments that went into such gas, into those gas assets. And we have initiated non-associated gas projects, and we have associated gas projects. So much so that that space became good for investments and also for the environment. We made it, we incentivized the process in such a way that people who are living in those communities can now see the effort government is making to ensure that the flares go down. Once the flares go down, the nuisance of the gaseous emissions will become reduced and people live a better and quality life. And so when the SLCP document was introduced to all stakeholders within the country, that was spearheaded by the DCC. And they did a workshop. Mm-hmm. We were part of it. And we reviewed the document and made inputs in order to ensure that all the sectors in the country, agriculture, mining, transport, oil and gas, and all the people who have been, all the sectors that have been identified as contributors to this debate are brought together, around a table and a workshop, and people who are, giving information on how this can be dealt with. The methane nuisance is well known. It will take about 10 years to convert methane, to carbon dioxide. And as such, we know now that methane presents a formidable foe, to humankind. And if we're able, we see it as a low-hanging fruit. So once we're able to tackle that and bring it to lock it down, to ensure that it doesn't run away and create chaos and mayhem, around the system. Such opportunities that presented itself to us, we really got hold of it. And in the process, we held stakeholders engagement meetings with all the stakeholders in the oil and gas industry. Mm-hmm. And DCC also was part of it. We invited them to share their experiences. And in an effort to bring to bear some of these issues, we had added, some of the instruments that we have in the country, leak detection and repair programs, the quality, or like I said earlier on, the quality of gaseous emission, and the flare stack, combustion efficiency, also have been part of our processes in the country. So what we have just done is to up our game, step up on our game, and then put a biting force, to some of these documents that have been in the oil and gas industry. So in a way, the issue we are discussing now just fits perfectly into the global plan of the regulatory system that we have in place. And kudos to CAC and CATF. From 2018, we've been having series of stakeholder engagement, facilitated by them, training workshops, and capacity building programs, which has also helped to understand some of the problems that we lack and the way we can look at work on this problem and move forward on implementing decisions and programs that will help ensure that the 1.5 degrees challenge that is the mantra right now is met, not just by us, but the oil and gas industry, but the nation as a whole. So it has been a journey, and we believe that we will get there with the cooperation of all and sundry and all the stakeholders that are involved in this endeavor.
That's fantastic to hear, and I understand that you will soon have not regulations, but the finalized guidelines for methane mitigation in the oil and gas sector. Asmau, with all the work that Nigeria has put into this, all the the capacity building within the Ministry of the Environment and the Department of Petroleum Resources and others, and also within the companies themselves, do you see a role for Nigeria to play in helping to push your neighbors to take on the challenge of methane mitigation, especially in the oil and gas sector? Do you see a role for Nigeria to play in reaching out to other countries in the region to really try to help them see the opportunity here that is methane mitigation?
Yes, Nigeria in our region is one of the first countries to discover gas, oil and gas, in the country, in the region. So yes, of course, we've made some mistakes and all of that, but many more countries now around us are discovering oil and gas also in their countries. So now that we have seen how to work on these greenhouse gas emissions that are coming out from these products, so the other countries can do this sustainably. Though we also are trying to move in a better direction, like working with the CATF and all of that to reduce these emissions. So I believe that other countries now that are coming up with the production of oil and gas in their countries now have a better way to do it, and they think Nigeria as an older or as a big brother that has been doing this for a long time will have a better way to guide them on what's better way to use in producing these products from the oil and gas industry. So I think yes, Nigeria is a big brother to all in Africa. So we can come together. We have blocks in Africa. We have the ECOWAS and many countries in the ECOWAS, Ghana, I think Niger also have now discovered gas in their countries, and we work together under that block of the ECOWAS to see that we achieve the targets of climate change issues. So yes, of course, Nigeria has a role to play in helping these other countries and working together with other countries to see that we reduce these emissions, especially from the oil and gas sector. Though we work in so many other areas, and methane also is produced in agric and waste, which I don't think we have focused enough on it, and we will need to do that because Nigeria has a large population of over 200 million people. So you can just imagine the kind of waste and the kind of agriculture, farming, and all of the other things, dairy products, and all of that Nigeria needs and is working on. So we'll have to also focus on those areas.
Yeah, I think to me in the waste sector, when this week when we've heard about some of the pledges for financial support, there was a $320 million pledge from philanthropy to support implementation of the global methane pledge. Plus, there's been talk of government funding the large donor nations to contribute as well to the implementation of the global methane pledge. To me, the waste sector is just such a perfect space for that, because when you're working with local communities on reducing the organics that are going to their landfill, and then also trying to deal with the landfills, it seems like such a ripe opportunity for financial support to help communities come to terms with that. But I agree, none of us have spent enough time focused on this, not just in Nigeria, but we definitely need to do a lot more work on the waste sector for sure.
And we have also included waste now in our revised NDC. So it's a sector that is now included in the NDC. So which means we're ready to work on that sector and see how to bring down emissions from the waste sector.
Yeah, that's great. I'm personally, one of my goals is to get the development banks to start supporting these kinds of efforts. So that's going to be a pitch that I'll be running around trying to get the world's development banks to support the kind of efforts that need to happen at this. And if we can come up with a way to kind of package even a small, municipal area that can tap into these kinds of funds to support those efforts, I think I've been really impressed with some of the work that's been done around the world on this. So more to come on that. Abdurrahman, you mentioned just briefly in passing satellites and the satellites and how they've been able to monitor the flaring and to provide additional help in that space. All this week, actually not all this week, all last week, we heard a lot about satellites and the future of satellites for methane. One of the things that we talk about a lot is it's great to have policies for methane mitigation, but of course implementation is the most important thing, actually getting the emissions out of the air. Do you see this future where we may have satellites that are giving us regular data? Do you see that as something that could be powerful for you in getting confidence that what you're doing is working in Nigeria? You see that as a potential tool for your work going forward?
Okay. If we look at the nature and the environment of oil and gas production, you will agree with me that satellite technology has been part of the processes that we have deployed, even in drilling. You imagine drill ships that are used for drilling in offshore location, deep sea drilling, 1,000 meters of water depth. They require sophisticated geostationary tools, to ensure that the drill ships are able to get to the coordinates, swiftly and most importantly, efficiently. So satellite technology itself in oil and gas is something that has been deployed. So dovetailing into the monitoring aspect is going to be an additional advantage. And like you are rightly said, we had worked on development of methane regulation, with DCC and the CATF in attendance. That in a way has helped us to look at opportunities that are available that we can harness. We know we already have some level of foot soldiers. We can do ground truthing. We can deploy remote sensing tools to pick out information from flare stacks. Mm-hmm. And we can boldly say, that a large number of some of those facilities have incorporated infrared cameras to monitor the fugitive emission from facilities. Not only that, if you look at the guidelines and standard that was launched and came into force in 2018 in Nigeria, we had banned fugitive, cold venting from the facilities in the country. Also, it's the IMEO. We have also keyed into that opportunity that will be provided by IMEO. We are also working with IEF, International Energy Fund, and IEA. These are reputable international organizations that have been in that space using spatial technology to look at the region of oil production in Nigeria. And the data we have presented as a country corroborated the satellite imagery data to show that, yes, in the last 10 years, we have had marked reduction in hotspots, flaring hotspots within the territory of the country. So it's a real game changer right now for us to go into that particular realm. Not only the satellite imagery, but also deploying other tools, unmanned area vehicles, drones, that can do intermediate communication between the ground station and also the satellite, so as to give us a very robust data that we can also work with and get good information from several locations. Part of what we intend to do with the International Methane Organization monitoring is that they will create an alert. They will create an alert when such spikes of super emitter facilities are detected. They will quickly notify DCC and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and will move very fast and swiftly to ensure that where that source of contamination is coming from is quickly addressed and arrested. And that's the way and manner we intend to go further in ensuring that we keep we keep all those we keep to our pledge to ensure that we not only we have pledged 60%, but we will be beating all forecasts in the pledge to do more than 60%, because all our effort is to make sure that we remove the nuisance of flaring and all sources of emission and venting from oil and gas. The organization we work for, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, is working in our Excellence Center, where we are working on carbon capture, and it's on a pilot scale. By the time it becomes matured, we will be deploying such things for EOR, what you call enhanced oil recovery system. So these gases, carbon gas, CO2, which are GHG oriented emission gases, will no longer pose such what you call it, a nuisance for us in the oil and gas, because we'll be putting them back into the reservoir where they come from, and we'll be using them for other opportunities that are available in the oil and gas, rather than allowing them into the atmosphere where they can exacerbate the problem of greenhouse emissions. So satellite technology will give us a very good platform and very good opportunity to further enhance our capability to respond, to detect and respond to super emitters, and know where we really need to work further to nip in the bud the problem of methane and GHG gas emission in the oil and gas industry.
Great. Well, thank you both very much for being here with us. I don't want to take up any more of your time because I know you both are very busy here at the COP. I look forward, hopefully our next meeting will be in Nigeria again. I miss working with you guys in person, but we've been able to make a lot of progress on our video calls over the last year and a half, but hopefully that time's coming to a close and we can move back to actually meeting in person.
Yeah.
It's great to see both of you again, and I wish you the best of luck throughout the rest of the week here at COP, and safe journeys home.
Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in Nigeria very soon.
You.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.